Welcome back to Dash Explore. I'm Sarah, and today I'm here to share the 12 things that you need to know before traveling to Switzerland with your kids. Switzerland is a beautiful country with so much opportunity for adventure, but it is also a little complicated and a little bit difficult to plan. So since we have just planned our 7-day trip to Switzerland with our kids, I wanted to share all the things that we learned in the hopes that this will make planning your trip for your family even easier. So just a little bit of information about our trip before we jump into our tips. We went in September of 2025, and we went with our girls age 2 and age 5. We stayed for 2 nights in Lucerne, 4 nights in the Jungfrau Region, and 1 night in Geneva. We flew into Zurich and out of Geneva, so we got to span the whole country, and we took public transportation for the entire trip. So that briefly summarizes our trip, and hopefully that will help you understand where we are coming from with all of the tips that we share. So with that, let's jump into the 12 things that you need to know before traveling to Switzerland with your kids. So as I've already mentioned, we only took public transportation on this trip, and that is because the public transportation in Switzerland is incredible. There are so many different kinds of public transportation. It is very well run, it is very efficient, and so the first group of tips and things I have to share with you are things that all regard public transportation. And so with that, my first tip to traveling to Switzerland with your kids is that all kids age 5 and under travel for free on public transportation. And as you might have guessed, that is exactly why we traveled to Switzerland this fall with our kids, because our daughter is 5.5, almost 6, and we knew that it was gonna get really expensive if we waited much longer to go. Now that's not to say we're not gonna go back, because Switzerland is beautiful, but we did wanna take advantage of the fact that children age 5 and under are free. And you will get asked frequently if you have an older child how old they are, because we were asked on almost every public transportation how old she was. We were never expected to show proof of this, but just make sure you have a photocopy of their passport or something that shows their age, just in case you get questioned by one of the workers. So moving on to tip number 2, and that is travel passes. Switzerland offers a ton of different travel passes for different regions, for the whole country. There are so many, and we barely even scratch the surface of what there is to know about all of these different travel passes. And first of all, I want to let you know that if you are researching these travel passes and you feel overwhelmed, you are not alone, because there is a lot to learn. There is a lot of nuance to which one you pick and which one is best for you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, do not stress, you will find the one that is best for you. My advice to you when picking a travel pass is to make sure you have your itinerary planned out so you know where you're going, how you're getting from place to place, and loosely what activities you want to do while you're there. And then do your research, read about the different options, watch videos on YouTube, read blog posts. There are also some spreadsheets that you could purchase where you could plug in all the information for your trip and it would tell you which travel pass to buy. We did not end up doing that. We just read a lot and made our best guess. One other thing I want to share is that you can also buy multiple travel passes. So we ended up getting the half fare card and the Jungfrau pass, and I think that worked out really well for us. We were able to get a discount on the Jungfrau pass with our half fare card. So there's lots of discounts and things you can use, especially for the attractions that you're doing too. So make sure you look into all of that and you will be able to figure out which travel pass is best for you. And rolling into tip number 3, and that is the train system in Switzerland. It is very efficient. It runs almost everywhere. It is very easy to use, and I highly, highly recommend that you take advantage of the public transportation while you're in Switzerland. Especially if you've picked out one of the travel passes, it will make booking all of this stuff so much easier. And the one tip that I want to give you specifically about trains is to make sure that you download and are familiar with the SBB train app before you arrive on your trip, not downloading it in the airport and figuring it out after you've been on a plane all night long without sleeping. Maybe do it ahead of time. This train app is very easy to use. You can input your card information, and if you purchase a travel pass like the half fare card or the Swiss travel pass, I believe you can input that directly into the app, which will automatically apply whatever discounts you get for the trains within the app. So I highly recommend downloading that ahead of time. Make sure you're familiar with it, and you will use it all the time throughout your trip, especially if you're taking public transportation. All right, next we are going to roll into tip number 4, and that is city passes. And this is something that we did not know about until we were pretty deep into the planning process for our trip. Most of the major cities in Switzerland offer something called a city pass or a city card, and oftentimes this is included with your accommodations. So with our hotel in Lucerne and in Geneva, we, the adults, were given city cards, and this gave us access to the bus system, so we didn't have to pay to ride the buses. Now, I'm sure we could have taken advantage of these city cards even more than we did, but it was so super nice to be able to just hop on the bus, go from place to place. If you've watched any of my other Switzerland videos, you know that we didn't bring a stroller. So to be able to walk on the bus with our 2 and 5-year-old and just be able to ride around the city was so nice and easy. This was a really awesome option, and is definitely worth making sure that you can get that with your accommodations in these different cities, because it makes transportation around the cities so much easier. Okay, tip number 5 is one more about travel passes, and this is for ones that are specific to a certain region, like the Berner Oberland Pass or the Jungfrau Region Pass. These are not something that you can add into the SBB train app or something that you can easily have saved to show to people. And my one tip for this is to make sure that you have it saved somewhere where you have easy access for it, because you will be asked for it on every train, every bus. We were asked for it almost every single day. So make sure you have that easy access, whether you download the PDF, you take a screenshot of it so people can see it, whatever works best for you, because you will be using them frequently and someone will be asking to see them throughout your trip. So make sure it's somewhere easy where you can easily show it. Okay, tip number 5 is something I've kind of already mentioned, and that is to maybe skip the stroller. Obviously, if you have a very small baby, you're gonna wanna bring that stroller. It's easy for naps, for pushing them around. You don't have to carry them all the time. There's a lot of reasons why having a stroller is great, but especially if you are going to be in the mountain regions, it's gonna be really hard for you to be pushing that stroller all over the place. Getting on and off cable cars and funiculars and buses and trains and all of the things, it's probably gonna end up being more of a hassle to have a stroller than to not. We do have a compact one for travel. We've used it in Paris and London and all over the world, but we decided not to bring it on this trip because we knew that for the most part, we were gonna be able to take transportation almost everywhere we were gonna need to go. The amount of steps we did on this trip every day was significantly less than every other trip we've been on, and we truly didn't miss the stroller at any point during the trip. In fact, it was a lot easier to not have to lug it around in the train stations and in the airport. So consider skipping the stroller, invest in maybe a toddler carrying pack like we did. And this is obviously a decision where you're just gonna need to know your kids and what's best for them, but we didn't miss the stroller, and with the amount of public transportation that there is in Switzerland, you might not need to bring yours either. Okay, so now we are gonna move away from the talks about public transportation and into tips about planning your itinerary and the weather in Switzerland and all of those kinds of things. And that my first tip in this section is to make sure you check the weather frequently. Check it the days before you leave, check it the night before you leave for your trip, and check it every single night on your trip, because the weather in Switzerland can change very frequently. And it's also important to consider that, especially if you're staying in the mountains and you're going from the tops of the mountains down to the valleys and kind of moving all over the place, the weather there can be extremely different from the top of the mountain and down in the valley. So check those weathers really frequently. Make sure you pack for all kinds of weather occasions because it can vary greatly. Again, if you watch my Pack With Me, Unpack With Me, any of my itinerary videos, you know that the weather we had on this trip varied all the seasons and was incredibly wild. And it was recommended to me on every video and blog and thing that I looked at for this trip to Switzerland to use the Medio Swiss website, which I will put that link down here so you can see, because it's going to be the most accurate for all of the places in Switzerland. So make sure you're checking that website, staying on top of the weather, and make sure you're prepared for all the seasons because you just never know what you're gonna get. So continuing on the subject of weather and itinerary plans, my next tip is to make sure that you can be as flexible as you can with your itinerary. And specifically for those mountain regions, we are very intentional about planning days by geography. So we planned to go from where we stayed in Wengen to Interlaken and Harderkulmen one day, and then we had another day planned where we would go from Mannliken to Grindelwald, potentially up to Bort. All of that was grouped together with one day. And just look at the map and plan itineraries based on geography. And then when you arrive on your trip, check the weather every night and make the decision based on the weather of which place you want to go on which day. As I've said, our weather was really dicey. Some days it was going to be rainier or colder or snowier in some places. So we had to make decisions every single night about which of those itineraries we were going to do on which day. So if you can be flexible, especially in Switzerland, you really don't need to book specific tickets for specific days for a lot of the activities that you're going to do. Try to be flexible with when you're going to do what. And especially if you're traveling with kids, it's always important to be flexible anyways, because you just never know what they're going to need or what is going to be best for them. So flexibility is the key when it comes to planning your trip to Switzerland. Also, I obviously know you're not going to change whether you go to Lucerne first or the mountain regions first, but if you can be flexible with your daily schedules, it's going to make the trip go a lot smoother for you. And my next tip for traveling to Switzerland with your kids is playgrounds. And when I say playgrounds, I mean that they are everywhere. They are incredible, and you need to play on as many of them as you can. This is easily the best part about traveling to Switzerland with your kids. There are playgrounds and parks almost everywhere you go, and even each city can have 2, 3, 4, 5 different playgrounds for you to play on. There's no way you're going to be able to play on every playground that you see, but I want you to do your best to let your kids play on as many of them as possible. And if you have older kids, make it into a game. Come up with a rating system together as a family, what makes one park better than the other, different things that they look for, and have your kids rate each park as you go through. Make a video of them explaining why they like each playground, and then you'll have an awesome keepsake for when you get back home. So make sure you take advantage of those playgrounds, even if it's raining, even if it's snowing. Go out, play on those playgrounds, and just enjoy that time with your kids and let them be kids. And rolling into my next tip, kind of on the same line of these playgrounds and being flexible, is do not overpack your days. You don't, and your kids don't want to have to be like, well, we have to be here at 9 o'clock, and at 9:45 we need to be here, and at 10 o'clock we need to be here. You don't need to do that in Switzerland. Switzerland is a place to enjoy the views, to relax, to experience new things, maybe pet some llamas, and just be together as a family. Build in the time so that if you see a playground and your kids want to play, you can stop for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes and let them play. So leave room for those kinds of activities that you just stumble upon on a trip, because there's so much adventure to be had in Switzerland, and you don't want to have to say no because you've overpacked your day with too many different things. So that wraps it up for my tips about weather and itinerary planning. My next couple of tips are about food and some ways to save money while you're eating in Switzerland. Switzerland has lots of delicious food. It's known for its cheese, it's known for its chocolate, but it is also known for being very expensive. So what we did going into this trip and what we've heard from tons of other people is to plan to eat maybe one meal at a restaurant every day, and then to take advantage of the grocery stores or smaller bakeries to get pastries for breakfast so that you are not eating out for every meal. The meals are very expensive. The food was delicious. We tried so many local dishes. We had an amazing time, but there are also a lot of grocery stores. And like I said, this is a trip where we can just relax together as a family. We're gonna play on the playgrounds. We might get back to our apartment a little bit earlier in the night, cook dinner, relax, decompress as a family, talk through all the things that we did that day, and save a little bit of money by cooking dinner at our apartment as opposed to eating out for every meal. We also did several picnics. Switzerland is an amazing place to do picnics. Like I said, there's lots of playgrounds, lots of parks. Go to the local grocery store, get some cheese, some meat, some bread or pretzels, and have a picnic with your kids. Kids love picnics. It's always so much fun. And this is a great way to save a little bit of money, but also a way to make a unique experience with your food. So keep that in mind and try to plan to do at least a couple of grocery store runs throughout your trip, because it will definitely save you a lot of money. And this brings me to the final thing you need to know for traveling to Switzerland with your kids, and that is eat all the chocolate. You will not regret it. It is very delicious. It totally lives up to the hype. There are the bars in the grocery store. There are the special chocolate shops that you can go into and pick out different chocolates. It's all great. You will not regret it. Eat the chocolate. In fact, go to the grocery store, get a ton of bars, and then get even more bars because you're gonna regret not bringing more home, I promise you. And bring them home, share it with your friends, share it with your family. It is a very easy souvenir. We got them for grandparents, we got them for friends, we got them for teachers at school. Very, very easy souvenir to bring home to people, and it is so delicious. So do not skip on the chocolate. It is totally worth it, and I highly recommend. All right, so those are the 12 things you need to know for traveling to Switzerland with your kids. As I've already mentioned, Switzerland is a beautiful country. There is so much adventure to be had there and so much special family time that you're gonna be able to have there. And I am so excited. If you are watching this video, I assume you are thinking about or hoping to plan a trip to Switzerland, and I really hope that you do it because it has by far been my kids' favorite trip that we've taken so far, and I hope that you and your family have the best time on this trip. So thank you so much for watching today. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a like, and if you're planning to travel with somebody to Switzerland and you want to share this video, make sure you hit that share button. And if you want to follow along for more of our family travel tips and family travel adventures, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can get notified when we post new videos. We also have Instagram and Facebook accounts at @explore, so make sure you check those out for more behind the scenes content. And again, thank you so much for watching today, and we'll catch you in the next one.